All right, welcome into this edition of the Milwaukee Bucks on Tap podcast. Corey, Moen, Bernd. Evan, how are we doing?
Good. We got the boys back.
Yes, we did. So in case you missed the news, which I hope you didn't, Chris Middleton is back. Signed a 3-year, $102 million contract extension. You know, at first, I'm going to be honest, I thought the Middleton deal was an overpay. Because, I look at 100 mil and I'm like, ooh, 100 mil from Middleton. But then someone pointed out that he actually took a pay cut.
Yeah, like 40 million.
To remain in Milwaukee. So, good for him on that aspect. And then remind me of the numbers for Brook Lopez again. It was 2 years.
Yep, 48 million.
48 million, which.
And he took, were you going to say the Rockets offer?
No, I was going to say the Rockets offer. What I was going to say was that's kind of what I figured where Brook Lopez is going to be at. Just a shorter term extension.
Mm-hmm.
Not like he wasn't going to get a big money deal. I don't know how much the Rockets offered him.
It was 2 years, 54. So it's not like he took a 10, $20 million. It's $3 million a year that he turned down. But why do you want to go to the Rockets?
Exactly. And Brook Lopez at this stage in his career, you're playing. You're gonna have to be like he'd be one of the veteran leaders.
Yeah,
but he wouldn't be competing for championships.
No,
exciting team, but it's just one of those things where you got a guy with who coached the finals 2022 in Ime Udoka, but you're gonna be relying on to be the leader for these guys. Okay. And speaking of the Rockets, they did get a little leadership there. Okay. Oof. They gave Fred VanVleet a bag.
They spent some money today and yesterday.
Okay. But they also got Dylan Brooks, which I don't know if that's where you're getting leadership from. He'll make that team interesting. That's for sure. And then who else did they get? And then they just signed Jeff Green.
Okay, I didn't see that one yet.
That one just came up. So.
Oh yeah, Jeff Green.
You know what? I'm gonna be honest. The Rockets, kind of building that team out really nicely. Getting some veteran leadership in there. Adding Jeff Green to any team really. That's pretty good because Jeff Green's, consummate professional.
Yeah, they also got Patty Mills too.
See, it comes to that Spurs pedigree with Greg Popovich and stuff, so they're filling out that team nicely. But getting back on track here, what was your immediate reaction when the Bucks re-signed Middleton?
I wasn't surprised that they got it. I'm just surprised at the actual deal because I think the original one was 4 years, $140 million. So taking 1 year less and math-wise about $38 million less. I don't know. It's good that he was kind of willing to do that because the money that they didn't pay him is obviously then used for Brook. So I was more worried about Brook because he was taking a fat minute to re-sign, and that worried me. But I'm glad they were able to keep him cheaper. I knew they were going to get rid of Middleton. There's no way. So I'm excited that he's back and for cheaper, I guess. Not too much cheaper than I would have wanted because his last one was like $180 million when he was worth $180 million. But yeah, it'll be nice. He better be able to produce. Otherwise, it might be a gutsy $100 million.
Yeah, and look, for Middleton's sake, obviously with this deal, he has to have a bounce back year.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, first and foremost, he only played like 34 games last year. Really averaged his lowest career point total, like a little over 15 points a game. That was his lowest career total since if you remember in the 2016-2017 season, I believe in a practice, he tore his hamstring. Yep. So he missed half the season with that. And obviously that was the last time Chris Middleton, hadn't really played a full season. So he has to play a full year this year. The only thing that worries me is, Nick Nurse for the Raptors played his starters a lot of minutes. Okay. I'm hoping Adrian Griffin, that's not one of the things he took or takes from Nick Nurse is, let's play these guys like
40 minutes and 35 and up.
Yeah, like Budenholzer, he saved those guys maybe to a fault sometimes. But I also think there needs to be a happy medium there where it's like, okay, I don't want to run like Giannis and Middleton like playing 39, 40 minutes a night. 35, 36, I don't know. There's like no it's hard to kind of count that in like the regular season. If Adrian Griffin, because like I think Middleton at this point, I think he's going to need his minutes managed. Okay, because we're still really not sure about his knee. If it's a degenerative thing or if that's just like what's the word I'm looking for?
Like you
it's
just
an
need more
anomaly.
rest. Okay.
Like an anomaly. Was that like an anomaly injury, or was that like this thing could linger?
Yeah, it's like the same thing with Giannis and his knee because he's not playing in the FIBA this summer, and I think they're gonna watch that more. Which is again, personally, with like him doing that, I feel like it's just more stress on the knee, and I feel like I know Chris didn't do that, but Chris also did the Olympics right after they won in 2021, and then it slowly. I just wonder if it's just like not overworking, but you're just playing too much.
I'm gonna be honest. Giannis, I don't know. For him, I do always get a little nervous when he plays for his country, only because of the fact that he's playing in games that, it's fine for his country, but like I just don't want him to have like what happened with Danilo Gallinari last year. And I know they're different players, but it's kind of the same thing of the playing for their home country. I don't want Giannis to take like a false step and blow out his knee and like the Bucks season's gone.
Yep.
I don't want that. So that's why it always kind of so I think it makes every Bucks fan nervous. Where on one hand they're fine with him playing for his country, but on the other hand it's like, okay, fine with playing with your country, but like
let's simmer down a little bit.
Suffer, please just don't suffer an injury. Okay. And Giannis, he's going at that thing like 110%.
Yep.
So that's what scared me is like he's gonna go for like a chase down block. His knee's gonna buckle, and could be gone the rest of the season. Like that's what would scare me. I guess now it's fine that Giannis is going to be resting practically the whole summer because although it would be kind of funny now, not that he would need to be like 8-9 years in the league and him just like roll up to like a summer league game and just dominate.
Drop like 80.
We remember skinny Giannis we play in the summer league.
Well, I was gonna say short hair, but he's short haired again. But yeah, Giannis in the summer league, 6'8" Giannis too, not quite 6'11" Giannis.
No, and I don't think he's playing anymore, but there was a report.
Yeah, Jabari.
That Jabari Parker.
Yeah, he's out now. They have something family related happened where I think it's gonna cut back. So I don't know, death in the family or just something, but obviously it's unfortunate because that's gonna be a fun team. It was him and Taco Fall, Nico Mannion. I don't remember how to say his last name.
Nico Mannion.
Yep, and then Vin Baker Jr., who I watch a lot at UW Milwaukee. I've watched in the last 2 years. It was gonna be a fun team, but I'm kind of mad. I was excited for him make a little comeback. Who would have thought like we would be saying that he's gonna be on our summer league team?
What if he went off? Like, would he have to?
See, that's what's weird about it. It's like we'll never know now. He kind of played on the Celtics this past year or two. I don't remember if it was 2021 or 2022, but again, like 4 games and then they drop him. Man, what could have been? But I was excited just to kind of see him again because they're not going to randomly sign a 10-day for him.
Like Jabari Parker for him, it's like that. He's one of the biggest what if stories ever. Because, looking back on it, people will kind of gloss over the injuries because obviously he didn't really live up to the hype of being a number 2 overall pick. And then, obviously with the guy coming after him being Joel Embiid, having
Yeah.
to wait a couple years and then obviously turning into a Hall of Fame player. I kind of like to think about what Milwaukee would have been like if they would have taken Embiid. But I mean, at the same time, it's like he's the biggest what if, because if Jabbar doesn't suffer those injuries, I still think he's in Milwaukee. Maybe
Yeah.
he would have commanded a max contract, but I do still think that he would still be in Milwaukee, and I really don't know, because I feel like it was supposed to be, and maybe Giannis hadn't reached that level yet, but imagine if it was Parker, Middleton, and then Giannis.
Yeah, because he was like most improved player Giannis, not quite MVP Giannis yet, like near the end. So I don't know. It's one of those things where it's like, what if he developed really well, then they couldn't afford both of them, and it's that like who knows what might have happened, or do they dump middle? It's a what if that we'll never know. But I was excited to see him.
I was too.
And it was so quick. It was like within 24 hours he was on and then he was off. But for the reason makes sense.
Yeah, it's insane.
But Taco Fall will be on the team. That'll be I have to watch some games now that he's gonna play.
Do you have NBA TV?
Yeah.
I've never gotten that. And I feel, and yeah, for sure, I would love to watch some summer league action. And now that Taco Fall's on the team, I'm like, oh, dude, I gotta watch me some Taco Fall. Now, if Taco Fall can play at the G League, if he can make like the G League team, oh, that'd be awesome, dude. Just like a 7'6" guy, like that's just so funny to see.
I would definitely go to her game. I've never been, but I would definitely go because of that. He's like one of just those like hype players where it's like you got to go just to go. But it'll be interesting because then they'll have Marjan and I think they could run it. I think they could do really well in the summer league. They didn't last year, but I think there's a chance.
Always a chance. So again, get back on track here. So when Lopez signed, because obviously he had other deals elsewhere. Okay, people were talking about it was really Milwaukee and the Rockets. I think Milwaukee is really competing with the Rockets. I don't know who else.
The Thunder, I heard, were lingerers. Again, it's the young team get a veteran. That's really all it was. Veteran, Chet Holmgren, I think, probably would have. I don't know. It's one of those. You got a young starter. You're not going to bring him off the bench. It was really just them and the Rockets.
Yeah, so I guess what was your initial reaction when they re-signed Lopez?
It was a sigh of relief because, like, Middleton's was so quick. And then Brooke, once it's like day 2, it's like you're like kind of waiting, but then I don't know what, like a couple hours ago, my brother texted me before like I saw it posted, and that was just like a whew, okay. And like a lot of people are saying that they overpaid him but it's like last year was arguably, in my opinion, one of his like best years as a player just in general since like his Brooklyn Nets days. And people are like, oh, they overpaid him. Like he's not going to be like, he's old, but it's like, if you get rid of him, one, we don't have a center. You're not going to put Bobby at the center. Giannis isn't going to play center. You're not going to go out and get some high-end center that's just out there. Christian Wood, that would be cool. Bring him back, but he's not going to be able to fill the role that Brook did. And Mo Bamba, again, cool player, but not going to fill in Brook Lopez. So it's like, it's not like they're bad players. It's like you can't go from Brook Lopez to those guys and expect the same output from them or the same level of play that you want from Brook, that you got from Brook, that you want for the other two. So it was very relaxing because then it's like, all right, we got our 2 guys, we're good.
Now, I'm going to be honest. Mo Bamba for me is kind of more known for like
his song.
Yeah. I don't like Mo Bamba, the player. I just don't. I mean, it's just, he was a high draft pick for the Magic. It didn't pan out. And then he got traded to the Lakers. really didn't pan out there. So I mean, like at this point now, he just, his childhood friend of his wrote a really like a banger song about him. But other than that, I'm not sitting here being like, oh, like we got to get Mo
Yeah,
Bamba.
we got to get Mo.
I'm
It's like it'd
good.
be cool if they got him for like a bench role, but he's not just gonna like you're not gonna dump Brooke Lopez and be like, all right, Mo Bamba's our guy now. It's like no, that's not gonna happen.
That's no.
I'd rather overpay Brooke for one more season than underpay and have absolutely no center.
Like, and I knew as soon as like when I looked at the center free agent market, I'm like, well, we gotta get Brooke Lopez back because there was nobody else that could replace him.
No,
Like
otherwise you'd have to
legitimately
trade.
nobody. If you want to throw like Nikola Vucevic in there, but fine, whatever. But it's like he wasn't gonna replace Brooke Lopez, and he already re-signed pretty quickly with the Bulls. So like there was just nobody to like match Brooke Lopez's production. So that was the one guy. Like that's the one guy who's actually key to Milwaukee. Okay, you want to throw Chris Middleton in there? Fine. On the offensive end, he is. But on the defensive end, everything runs through Brooke Lopez.
He's the backbone of the team, and I feel like people don't realize that and how well he did last year after a back surgery too, compared to all his other years. That would have been a huge hit if they lost him.
Yeah, and I mean, look, okay, they actually tried to fill the void left by Brooke Lopez, like when he had the back surgery. They tried Serge Ibaka. Okay, Serge Ibaka couldn't move the way he used to. Look, Brooke Lopez, like he was like second defensive player of the year voting last year.
Should have got it.
So there was just no way Milwaukee was going to let him walk.
No, and it's you can't just like let him. From how he produced, you can't just let him go. It's like there was no way they were. I think out of the two of them, I feel like they would have rather let Chris Middleton walk than Brooke. No way. But it was just surprising at how long it took. It made it seem like, is he considering the Rockets? When I was talking with my brother, I'm like, there's no way out of all the players, Brooke Lopez would go for money. At this point in his career, I'm like, you're just going to now sit in Houston for 2 years and not do anything. So it was a good wait. But again, just surprising that it took that long.
1000% agree. Look, I'm just glad Brooke Lopez is back. Okay, that's really all we got to say. Is like we're so glad. I'm so glad he's back. I'm glad Middleton's back. We'll get into the other signings in a second, but now I'm just kind of looking through some of these deals.
Yes, with that, however, the Bucks again did lose Javon Carter, which sucks. He went to the Bulls.
Yeah, well, yeah, I wasn't mad about that. I really wasn't. I mean, he got a lucrative offer from Chicago.
Yeah, and I don't think $20 million for him. That's a lot. That's a very iffy. That's an iffy deal, where it's. I feel like if that obviously played an effect of if they were going to keep Middleton and Brooks, so losing him was kind of tough. But again, I'd rather have the other two. Joe Ingles is out.
22 mil with the Magic.
That's crazy. That is crazy.
That is insane. I watched him last
22 million.
Like literally, we watched him last year. Okay. He's like he lost a step for sure. Like I like Joe Ingles. Don't get me wrong. He is a great passer. Like that's the one aspect of like his time walking that's gonna be missed is that he was a terrific passer. But 22 million with the Magic, that is utterly insane. For the player, for a guy you're gonna get averaging like 7 points a game.
After the ACL tear too.
Yeah.
Maybe he'll have a decent year, but again, it's not worth the Bucks' money. I think the biggest one that kind of upsets me, I don't know how you feel. Russell Westbrook. 2 years, $8 million. We don't have a backup point guard, really. That one, it was a very iffy one where it's like, could the Bucks have done that, or would they want to have done that? That's That's one that I looked at like, ooh, to see him go to 8 million and he's worth $4 million a year is what people are saying. And that one just kind of like, that one threw me off, especially seeing some of these guys get absurd amount of money.
I think he's a perfect fit in LA. And again, I understand what people are saying that, oh, well, Russell Westbrook, he should be like our backup point guard in Milwaukee. Okay. But two things. One, would Russell Westbrook even want to come to Milwaukee?
Yeah, that was the only downfall of does he
He's
just
a
want to
West
stay
Coast
in there?
guy.
Mm-hmm.
He's a West Coast guy. And two, like Russell Westbrook's one of those players that he will shoot you out of a game. Like he will. Like people are saying like has he accepted the backup role? Yes. Do I really consider him? Now, look, the other downside why he could accept it is because he would back up Drew Holiday. And I think those two still have a very close relationship from their time at UCLA. But I don't know. At the same time, it's risky to get in the Russell Westbrook business.
It is, which is weird saying.
Because I've heard a lot about him. Okay, I heard, he tries hard on every possession. And, people like him as the ultimate teammate. But I don't know. I mean,
just to see 8 million, I think was like, that's cheap.
He would provide the entertainment factor, that's for sure.
Yeah.
Like some drunk Milwaukee fan just like gets going on him, calls him Westbrook, and is like, hey, I'll mess you up. I'll mess you up. Like the entertainment, he'll provide the entertainment factor from that standpoint. Oh, Lord, Russell Westbrook. I actually like he's gotten better. I will say that he's
the
he's
Clippers.
gotten better
He got a lot better
since he accepted that backup role. Even with the Lakers, people don't realize that. I'm not saying he was good with the Lakers, but I feel like he became more tradable after like he accepted that backup role. Because he like tried harder. He had played more of an edge. Like when he wasn't trying to play like 2017 MVP Russell Westbrook, he was actually turned into a competent player. Because there were people who were saying, "Oh, well, Russell Westbrook, he's not going to be in the league in 2 years. He's going to have to play in China or something like that." And I'm like, but he's still so dynamic. Like that's what would like he's not a starter anymore on any team. But I think he's a guy who could still give you buckets. He tries on every possession. And I don't know. He's just a perfect fit in LA. Mostly because the Clippers need as many guys as they can get who can stay healthy.
Yep. They're an injury team.
They are. And then the other insane one, Dillon Brooks got 80 mil from the Rockets.
And the fact that the Bucks were looking at him.
I would have been fine with Dillon Brooks, just not at that price point.
No, that was the same with Draymond. Seeing 4 years, $100 million, that was also it would have been cool, but not for that much money.
I got Draymond just punch his own teammate in the face. He gets $100 million.
And then gets the other guy traded.
But you know what? I'm gonna say this. Okay, what they're basically saying there is, well, yeah, Draymond can basically do whatever he wants. He's literally one of the reasons why we have 4 championships now. It's like, Jordan Poole, what have you done? It's like, yeah. And then, I don't even know if that trash talk that someone was talking about is real, but if it is, I feel like Jordan Poole kind of deserved to get punched in the face.
Yeah, I do too. If supposedly that's what happened.
if he allegedly told Draymond Green, why is your handle Money 23 Green if you're not going to get a bag this season? Like, that is a messed up thing to say to someone. And if it is true that he said that, like, I mean, come on. When you keep egging a dude on, like, and then you just get punched in the face. Because now that kind of trash talk came out, it kind of makes sense why Jordan Poole got punched in the face.
Yeah.
Like, and think about it. It wasn't like people would have thought it was like something at practice where, tempers flare. But if that trash talk turns into that, where, then you talk about like your body counts and stuff like that. Then it just gets to be like, then that turns like personal. And now I can see Jordan Poole got punched in the face. This is all alleged, but
Mm-hmm.
if that's the trash talk that went on, it kind of makes sense why Draymond had to like punch him in the face.
That was a weird one. Now, obviously, the other big thing is Damian Lillard finally came to the assumption that he wants to be traded after he just said he didn't want to. But it was he wants to get traded to the Heat. And I was thinking, I'm like, it's kind of iffy because they just lost Gabe Vincent. They lost Max Strus. And then who would they give up for him? Maybe like Tyler Hero. There's no way Tyler Hero isn't in that trade.
So here's what I've heard. I've heard that
The 3-team trade.
I've heard the 3-team trade for Tyler Hero because I don't think the Blazers want Tyler Hero. They're like,
no. Well, they just got Scoot, so it's like you got that guy. Maybe work. It's a weird. He'd be a weird fit with the Blazers.
That would be a weird fit, and also like Tyler Hero, like the Heat almost won the championship without him. So like it's one of those things where it's like, how much do we really need Tyler Hero? And you know, the Blazers are like, oh, I mean, yeah, we'll give up Dame for sure, but like we don't really want Tyler Hero.
Yeah, I'm sure it's going to be like 2 guys and like a bunch of picks. But it was are the Heat going to be like what the Suns are doing? Like you get like these stacked lineups, but then you have no depth. Like, because I was thinking like if Tyler Hero is going to be gone, maybe Duncan Robinson goes to someone. But then they lost Gabe Vincent, they lost Strus. Now I saw they signed Thomas Bryant. Okay. And then Josh Richardson.
Sounds like Thurston in Miami.
Yeah, something like that.
Okay, here's the thing. You know what? After seeing the Heat like make it to the finals, with basically a bunch of like undrafted players, I'm not gonna sit here and worry about their depth. Phoenix, yes, because you know they just proved that because you can't really name a lot of the Suns bench players. I mean, good. They just lost like who? Jock Landale. Didn't he just go to the Rockets too?
Yeah, he got like 80 million, I think.
Yeah.
I saw a post and it was about the Suns pickups. And it was like they signed like 5 or 6 guys for like, I think the highest was maybe like 8 million. But it was like people were posting like, are the Suns like they're like they got like Yuta and they got like Damon Lee and Drew Eubanks, and it's like, okay, you put one of those guys in the starting lineup, everything changes.
Wasn't Drew Eubanks the starting center last year for the Blazers?
Yes.
He was like 6'7". He was the shortest starting center in the league.
I got to see if I can find that, but it was like they made it seem like they just got like 3 all-stars for like super cheap. And I was like, okay, like that's a little interesting. And people were flaming in the comments because it was like so like what kind of a post. I don't remember who posted it, but yeah, it was an odd one because they just got all these role players and then acting like they are now like legit. I mean, again, they'll make the playoffs, but it's not like they just made these moves and got all these guys. But yeah, that was an interesting one. The Lakers were doing well. Well, they were just active. They got Jackson Hayes. Again, I would be excited, but I'm not really that excited. And then another one, the other big one was obviously LaMelo Ball. Like 265 years, which is going to be big because now people are going to want to like underball some of these other like superstars. And then they're like, well, if LaMelo got 260, now I need like 350.
Yeah, well, the LaMelo Ball one kind of worries me because, I mean, has he been hurt the past 2 years?
Yeah, he's been very hurt.
So, all right, you're giving him max. And again, I'm not surprised because, you know, Mitch Kupchak, he's I don't think he deserves to be a GM at this point in the NBA. He is known for giving out just regrettable contract extensions. And again, I'm not saying you didn't have to give LaMelo Ball like a big money deal, but 260 for a guy who's
Been
dealt
hurt
with
a lot with
like
the ankle.
yeah, like that would concern me. But again, it's Charlotte. Like nobody really cares. Um, I mean, what do you want me to say? They've doled out a bunch of like regrettable contracts. Okay,
Yep.
Gordon Hayward, um,
Jinx.
um, like PJ Washington's up. They were about to give a bag to Miles Bridges before that whole thing with his
Do they keep Terry Rozier? It's like all
domestic
those
violence
guys.
went down. Yeah, so it's just again, it's one of those things where Charlotte's like it's just not a relevant franchise.
Yep.
They're
Like the
relevant
Wizards.
because Michael Jordan owned the team.
Yep.
Which, by the way, people completely forget about the fact that Michael Jordan almost owned the Bucks in 2003 before
Yep, I would have cried.
Herb Cole made the smartest business decision and just pulled back from the deal. If Michael Jordan bought the Bucks, we would not be in this position.
No.
We would have like 18 years of futility. I swear to God. I don't like this team would have been exactly like the Hornets. Maybe make the playoffs once in a blue moon.
Mm-hmm.
But
then get swept and
that's our season.
I did see I put the wrong number. Jock Landale was 32 million, 4 years. I was still thinking of the Dylan Brooks one. He was 480. Obviously, Jock Landale's 432. I read that one wrong. But yeah, Jay Crowder's back for one more year. I feel like you kind of had to do that because it would have been you give up all those picks, all those guys, and like you got to run it back one more year.
Yeah, and look, I'm fine with Jay Crowder being back because I think now that Javon Carter's gone, now that kind of opens up a spot for Jay Crowder to play. Last year I don't think like Coach Boone was a game of fair shake.
No, and I think Griffin will figure out a way to use him. I think he's going to figure out a way to use a lot of the guys that Budenholzer chose not to use or use correctly.
Yeah, like keep in mind, of course, we're all going to say like, oh, well, he looked a step behind the whole year. Well, I mean, keep in mind, he didn't play.
He hasn't played since the finals.
No, not the finals. No, he hadn't played since like, keep in mind. So, the Western Conference semifinals against the Mavs happened in May 2022.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yes.
And then Jay Crowder didn't play until February. So, like, of course, he's going to step behind the whole year because he was trying to get his sea legs under him. So, it's one of those things where, like, who knows how Jay Crowder would have looked with the full season of conditioning. Now, I understand what people are going to say. Oh, well, he was working out. No, well, was he in basketball shape, though?
He wasn't playing full NBA games.
No.
There's a totally different thing.
Yeah, like that. Yeah, I would hope he's working out as a professional athlete. But I'm saying, like, and I'm not even talking about the open gyms that Ben Simmons seemingly does every year in which everybody's like, oh, my God, Ben Simmons is back. I'm not talking about those. I'm talking about NBA games. Is he in NBA game shape? Like, that's what I was talking about. And, obviously they had that whole conditioning once they acquired him for a week. But that again, that doesn't apply. I'm talking about how would he look with training camp and a full season of, like, conditioning.
Mm-hmm.
How is he going to look then? And I am completely fine with Jay Crowder being back because you know what? I'm just glad John Horst didn't do the thing he did last summer when he trying to think. Yeah, I'm just glad John Horst didn't do the thing last summer when he ran it back.
Mm-hmm.
We tried to run it back with the same team. I think after we lost to the Celtics in the second round. Glad I didn't do that because that didn't work. To just basically re-sign everybody on the roster, including the water boy.
Yep.
And
then get Joe Ingles and expect.
Also, I'm not like we said, I'm not expecting Milwaukee to be active in free agency, like where we just get a whole bunch of guys. Because You don't
We
have
don't
a lot
have
of money to
money.
spend. No.
It's we needed Chris and Brooke and whatever else comes along will be given, but it wasn't like all these teams who are throwing out contracts like Oprah did with free cars, but it would be nice to maybe try to get someone cheap, which I'm assuming they'll try to do, but it's not going to be like a name that you know, which is again expected because we don't have any money. But I'm just glad they didn't like mess up and sign someone for an absurd amount instead of someone else. I would have been mortified if they did like Dylan Brooks, 4 years, 80 million.
Because 2016, like Milwaukee did have a little money to throw around. It was on guys like Matthew Dellavedova and Tony Snell.
Yep.
So, speaking of Tony Snell, I'm sure you heard this. And there were people roasting him, but I don't think it's right. But Tony Snell just revealed at the age of, how old is he now? 30, 31?
30 something. Do a quick.
Yeah, do a quick search. I thought he's in his 30s. 32?
We say like 32.
Yeah, I want to say
he
30.
is 31.
Okay. So Tony Snell revealed that because his son has autism, Tony Snell recently just got tested, and Tony Snell also has autism. Okay. And honestly, I felt bad because there were people roasting him in the comments, and it's like, well, he's not sick. Like, autism is what's the politically correct term? It's not a disorder, but it's like
a disability.
It's a disability. Like, a lot of us, not a lot of us, but people do have. So, I mean, I felt bad because I don't think like people should be roasted for having autism.
And to make it to the NBA, which they didn't.
True. So, shout out Tony Snell for kind of talking about that a little bit. So
yeah, free throw god too. Could not miss for like 2 years. I liked him. I didn't think he was too bad.
No, he clamp god. That's all I call him. He was a really good defender.
He played his role.
Yes, he did. I got a little sidetracked. What tangent was? Yeah. So when the Bucks, when they were active players at free agency, I'm kind of preferring we're in this spot, because when we're in the spot where it's like, well, we're not going to win a lot, but we gotta get a coveted free agent. It never went well.
It was this person did really well for a couple games, so let's throw them money. Like Dellavedova was a good pickup, but it's again in the long run of he just clamped Curry. Now let's go get him.
2016. You want me to read? Well, let me tell you about that free agency class. I believe it was Dellavedova. Okay. I think Mirza Teletovic was on that list.
Yep.
That did not work. That did not work. Who else? It was. It didn't even go the year before that. Like Greg Monroe was the most coveted free agent, and he ended up.
Greg Monroe, my guy.
That one.
Dude, he was my favorite player. Why? I have no idea. I just was like really obsessed with Greg Monroe. Yeah, Bucks was Dellavedova was 4 years, 38 million. I had to double check.
Gross.
And then Mirza 3 years, 30 million. I think that was there's a lot of transactions this year. I think that was it. Those were our big ones, I should say, at least.
Yeah, I'm trying to think. How did that? I don't think did that team make the? Oh yeah, we made it to the first round. Okay.
Yep, that Mirza one was. Ugh.
Well, I felt bad for him because I think he had to retire because he had like a heart condition,
blood clot, something like the same thing like Kevin Garnett had, or LaMarcus Aldridge.
No, but LaMarcus Aldridge came back to play. Like,
yeah,
that was
he
the
did.
insane part about it.
I don't know where I got those two names from.
But look, like I said, I'm glad the Bucks are still in the title contending position, because if we're in the position to just throw a bunch of random guys money, I mean, look, I guess comparing to someone like 2016 when the Lakers gave, say, like Timothy Mozgov
like 60 million,
Luol Deng like money. And then they had to be like, well, we gotta wait for these contracts to. Like, I felt bad for like Magic Johnson, Jeannie Buss, or Magic Johnson, really, because he took over as president of basketball operations, and then he had to kind of like
work around that.
Yeah, because there was just I was like, all right, well, how are we gonna get these Luol Deng and like Timothy Mozgov contracts off the books?
Yeah, because that was right after the Cavs won the ring or the championship. They're like, hey, let's throw this guy money and oof. But it's the get this guy because they weren't really productive, but let's just do it anyways. And it's like, all right, that's on you. But yeah, I'm glad. I knew the Bucks weren't going to do much, but they got their two guys, and I got a feeling they'll sign some like random player, but I don't expect them to do anything else signing wise because again, they don't really have money.
No, like we're not. Like I know this is your pipe dream, but we're not trained for Damian Lillard.
No.
So we're wiping that out of our heads.
And if it were to be, it would be getting someone in that trade. But I just don't see them doing anything anymore.
We just don't have the assets. Like that's the biggest problem.
Exactly. We're not going to trade Pat, Grayson, and all those guys when that's our bench.
Plus, if I'm the Blazers, I'm like, oh, okay, you want Dame? All right, well then give us Giannis.
Yeah.
And by the way, the rumor mill's coming up again about Giannis.
Yep, here we go again. Other teams are watching his status.
Oh, teams are watching his status. Blah, blah, blah. He's going to re-sign again. Goodness gracious. I'm sick of hearing about this.
Yep, Derrick Rose is, again, it's that same thing every year. Derrick Rose, Bucks, ? Giannis, leaving, ? Oh, my God. It's so annoying, but it's every year. Every year.
It's like, here's the thing. Brian Windhorst is right about one thing is it would be good if he signed his extension this year so I could like kind of not have to worry about it as much. But at the same time, I'm not worried if he doesn't sign. Like I'm not like, ooh, Giannis could like Kevin Durant us. Like I'm not worried about that.
He's like people don't know him. It's a weird thought of like, ooh, like maybe he would, but it's like at the end of the day, like there's no way he goes to the Lakers or the Warriors or literally any other team. You can't invest your life in here and then just like dump it all and leave. I mean, you could, but realistically.
Yeah, and like people are treating him like Dame for the Blazers, where it's like, well, can he win in Milwaukee? It's like he won a championship.
Oh yeah, he did.
We're still in a contending window.
He's done everything he can here.
Like, well, it's not like the Bucks are like doing what the Blazers are doing. What's he's playing, but the Bucks are missing the playoffs. We're still a good team. Like it's insane to me that people are trying to like basically drive Giannis out of Milwaukee because they don't really want to talk about the Bucks anymore.
Yep.
But at the same time, it's just like you're acting like we're not putting a team. It's like we're putting good players around Giannis. Like we are. We could be having this conversation if, like, say, John Hammond was our general manager. Then we could say, oh, Giannis would probably be gone by now. But, John Horst has actually put a good team around him. Like, I can understand why Dame wants out because, at this point, you're going to be building with, Scoot Henderson. And honestly, this is the perfect time for him to leave because it's like, Scoot Henderson, I hate to say it, he's going to be the new guy in Portland.
He's going to be so good. Him and Anthony Simons, little duo. But yeah, I'm glad Damian Lillard is being traded, but I'm not happy of who he's probably going to go to. That's my only downfall. He could get traded to any team, but he chooses to go to a contender with the Bucks. I'm like, of course. But
he'd always get those generational ass players.
Yep.
That's what makes me mad. They got LeBron, Dwayne Wade, Chris Bosh all at the same time. How unfair that was. Like, honestly, as soon as those moves happened, I was like, well, Bucks aren't going to win the finals.
No, Bucks in 6 though, and then they get swept.
Bucks in 6 with the culture, and then we got swept in 4.
Yep.
So, Dave, this is honestly, if Dame gets traded to the Heat, this was kind of like when LeBron went back to the Cavs. I was like, God damn it. like you're punching air because Bucks fans know, and every team in the East knows. Well, we got no shot. LeBron's going to go to the finals every year, and that's basically what happened. There's no team in the East.
Yep.
There's no team in the East that knocked him off. Boston came close, but realistically, there was nobody who was going to knock LeBron off that throne.
Yeah, and it was one of those things where it's like it is what it is. I'm curious of what that trade's going to be because obviously it's going to happen. I'm assuming he is going to go the Heat, but I just want to know who they're getting rid of. And I got a feeling it's going to be the 3-team trade just for someone to not get someone they want, or it's not just like a pick dump where you trade one player and you get like 8th graders realistically in return, where it's okay, like now you have 9 picks in the next 7 years. But that'll be interesting. I'm assuming that'll come sooner than we think, which again I'm excited for because I love trades.
I do too. And if I'm the Blazers, I'm like, I mean, do we try to get Bam out of this deal? Because people have been saying, have been hashtagging, Blazers fans have been hashtagging Bam to Portland. So
okay, that could change it up a little bit.
Because I'm trying to think of like, because who do the Heat really have for assets? Because the Blazers don't want Tyler Hero, but if I'm the Blazers, I'm like, oh, you want Dame? Okay, give us Bam.
Mm-hmm.
And then Jimmy Butler and Damian Lillard can be their own little duo, but I just don't know if they could start a big 3 there.
What a big 3.
If I'm the Blazers, I kind of drive a hard bargain where it's like, all right, Dame, we'll trade you, but we're going to get the best possible players out of this. So, Bam, come to Portland.
Interesting. I never thought of it that way. A big 3 of Bam, Anthony Simons, and Scoot Henderson. Who would have thought? But it'll be that's good because like if the Heat really want him, like if that's like this is their key, they would trade him. There's no way they wouldn't. I'm just thinking who would be their center then? Thomas O'Brien?
That would kind of scare me. That would scare me if Thomas Bryant is going into the Heat is going into the season as a Heat starting center.
Udonis Haslem, bring him back. One more year.
Throw
him in the starting lineup like that.
Honestly, I don't know why Udonis retired. He could be like the first player to play for 25 years in NBA history. He literally could just keep his career going.
Play.
He lasted 20 years, but really he only played like 11. 11 years in Miami, and then he just got relegated to being like a part of the Heat culture.
Yeah, that'll be an interesting one. I hope it comes again sooner instead of like them milking it and then or he just goes like, actually, I don't want to be traded, or like some like BS like that where it's he gets traded, but then to like some random team for like a bag of chips and a soda. Because I saw the Heat and I also saw the Nets. Yeah, I thought the Nets was kind of random, to be honest. Because
if you think about it, the Nets might actually be a better spot for Dame more than the Heat. Because think about it,
a superstar like
because the Nets like stockpiled young talent.
Mm-hmm. They just re-signed Cam.
And they got out of the Kyrie Irving, Kevin Durant business, which thank God they did. But they got who now? Cam Johnson, Mikal Bridges.
Yeah, Mikal Bridges is like realistically their best player, I think is what we're going for.
But
I just would be who would they want back in return?
That would be tough too.
Because I feel like it'd have to be one of those two guys.
Yeah, you gotta give it. Yeah, you gotta kind of to get a guy like Dame. And again, I really think it's now just gonna be the Heat, but realistically, I don't know. Like, I don't know. I feel like Kyrie and Katie went to the Nets just out of spite. But I don't know. Then you get then James Harden goes there, goes to the Nets, and these people just don't want to stay in Brooklyn.
No, because it didn't work.
And
crazy
then
that you have those three guys. And
But let's not forget
get
could they trade Ben Simmons to play in Portland? I think Portland would be a good spot for Ben Simmons, if I'm being completely honest here.
I kind of forget he's still like realistically like on that team.
Hey, but Evan, let me tell you something. He just worked out. Okay.
Yes,
he just worked out. He worked out. He was putting 45s on each side. Let me tell you something. Ben Simmons is.
He is back. That's an MVP right there.
I love it when people do that every year. I'm like, oh, Ben Simmons, he's hitting the gym. I'm like,
yep.
No, he's not. He's taking a bunch of shots that he's not going to take in the game. Like, oh, Ben Simmons took a 3 against some like in a pickup game.
All the corner 3 shots that he doesn't shoot in the game.
No, he doesn't. It's like I'm not going to fall for this again. He's done this 7 straight years. Okay, I'm not falling for Ben Simmons being like back. I can't.
And we don't even know what back is for him either.
No, he's got a back injury. But I don't know. I mean, a lot of things in the rumor mill going around. Then I saw somewhere where Joel Embiid could have some suitors if he demands out of Philadelphia. I'm like, what? When would he do that?
Yeah, and I think is James Harden like? Think they're gonna get rid of him?
Yeah, well, yeah, that's a report. He opted in, but now they're gonna try to find.
I think they're gonna trade him back to Houston.
I heard the Rockets aren't interested.
Okay.
But it's ESPN, so they kind of threw in like, oh, well, the Lakers could be interested. They
pick like 8-10 teams.
The Knicks could be. It's like,
yep. Let's just put every somewhat contending team in the mix.
Okay, if I'm the Knicks, I'm not going for it. Like, you already have good players there, and
no, that'll ruin it.
Yeah, James Harden with that contract, yeesh.
You got the Dante, Josh Hart, Randall, and Brunson kind of fun mix. Don't throw James Harden in that.
Yeah, no, don't throw James Harden there. I don't know where James Harden can realistically go. I think he still thinks people should respect him as the player he is, or the player he once was, not the player he is now. It's like, dude, you could put together 2 good people are scared to death of like now signing James Harden because it's like, okay, well, now he could put up like really good games, but what's he gonna look like?
Mm-hmm.
Like, we know what he looks like in the postseason. Now at this point, he is what he is. But like, what's he gonna like? Who wants him now? Like, that's so insane to say. But like, I don't know what team would be is gonna sign up in the James Harden sweepstakes.
I don't know. I feel like he's just gonna end up just being traded to a team where he probably doesn't want to go to, but someone's just gonna give him what the Sixers want realistically. And I don't know. I saw the Sixers aren't like extending like Tyrese right now, and they're like waiting on him for another year before it was something with his like extension, but I don't know. Philly trust the process that has not worked quite yet.
Yeah, the Tyrese thing, I misread that. I thought they would say that we're going to try to extend him, but now apparently they're not going to. Yeah, that's it's interesting, but I could see from their standpoint, it's like, well, he's still young. He's still under team control for another year, so
don't pay him when you can wait.
Yeah, exactly. Maybe it wouldn't hurt to give him another year. I mean, he did miss a little bit last year. I think he broke his foot.
He did. Yeah, he did something where he was out for a little bit.
Yeah, so I would wait a year on that. Smart. But if they get rid of James Harden, I've literally said this. I've been saying this all along, is that they have to open it up for Tyrese Maxey. Tyrese Maxey is the better player. Like you watch Tyrese Maxey play, and especially against the Bucks, I'm like, he's guy good. Is leaps and bounds better than James Harden.
He's good
currently.
He doesn't get the credit I think he deserves.
No, he is so underrated. He was so underrated in that offense. But I think once you add James Harden in the mix, it's like he kind of gets lost in the shuffle because I don't think he even knows where his role is. It's like,
yeah,
what am I supposed to do?
I just Googled Tyrese Maxey, and is it Brian Windhorse?
Brian Windhorse.
There's rumors that he thinks that the Sixers should trade Tyrese for Damian Lillard.
I've heard it with the Sixers, but I don't think it's going to happen.
That's a weird one.
That
would be way too much money. I mean, I don't know what the Sixers have, but
I don't. I don't know if I agree with that line of thinking because I don't know if I'd give up a younger cost control player for Damian Lillard, who's what 32, 33.
uh-huh.
Yeah, I don't agree with that.
I think
Like,
he's
I think Dame should get traded, but I don't know if you should give up young assets for him.
yeah, that's a interesting one. I feel like real the 76ers I don't think should get rid of Tyrese unless they want to contend.
Oh God, no,
That's
no.
a
like Tyrese Maxey is like one of the best players like on your team. And I've said this is like I feel like Joel Embiid works better when he doesn't have to share the spotlight with another star.
uh-huh.
Like I don't know if you just put a bunch of guys around him, I feel like he could still put up really good numbers.
Yeah, and that goes for a lot of them, but yeah, the Sixers are always an odd one just because of Tyrese drops 50 or so they're all over the place and they just need to establish their main guys and keep them and not just keep getting new guys or letting guys leave. Like Niang just left to go to the Cavs. Cavs are kind of making moves, not gonna lie.
Well, they got to build up that team. I mean, you lose what 4-1 to the Knicks. What they
Yeah.
lost 5 to the Knicks. So
Their kids, they weren't playoff ready. They're like the
I-
2018 Bucks.
No, and I said this before about Cleveland. Okay, I think we even talked about it like when the Bucks were playing them, like especially on the podcast this past year, was that they were so top heavy. Especially with Darius Garland and Spida and who was the other guy you could throw in there like
Jared
Karis
Allen.
LeVert, Jared Allen,
Yeah,
those
Karis
guys.
LeVert.
It's like those are like 3 good players, but they didn't have a bench. Like you can't name like a lot of players on the bench.
Robin
like Isaac
Lopez.
Okoro,
Robin,
Kevin Love.
Chetty Osman. I know they just got rid of
not-
him.
Yeah, you gotta beef up the bench just a little bit. Trust me when I say the most important aspect of winning a championship is you got to have a really good bench.
Okay. I think I don't know why it's because of the Cavaliers, but Colin Sexton used to play on the Cavs as a rumor for a Bucks trade. I mean, they do need a backup point guard. I like him.
I worry about that just because he's a guy who jacks up shots. Like and he hasn't been able to stay healthy either.
Yep. Yeah, he played 48 games.
Yeah, that worries me.
Like 14 points, 50% from the field, and 40 or 39 from 3.
Like, and that's the thing is people are gonna look at names like that. Oh, Colin Sexton, but then you kind of forget like why he's been on, like why he got traded from the Cavs to the Jazz. He was kind of known as like a selfish player on offense. He's a guy who jacked up shots. I don't know how his defensive rating is, but I just think that Milwaukee needs to go for guys who could share the basketball, could play team oriented basketball. I don't know if that's Colin Sexton's game. I feel like he's one of those guys who I have to get mine. He's a dynamic player and he can fill up the stat sheet. I just don't know if that's like a fit in Milwaukee.
Yeah, it would have to be a good Drew Holiday mentee type player because running out of options for backup point guards, and I don't even know who you would put. Do they go right and put Andre right into that role?
Well, I did hear from my editor about a few weeks ago that it's not going to be George Hill because apparently you can't get a guy back after you traded for him in a year. It's like a weird rule or something. So it can't be so it won't be George Hill. I can confirm that. I don't know. Patrick Beverley also signed with the 76ers, so it's not going to be him. And I actually would have liked to have Patrick Beverley on the squad. Offensively, he would have hurt us, but defensively, I would love Patrick Beverley.
Yeah, I'm just looking at the roster and guard-wise, again, Andre Jackson. What's his face?
Livingston?
I think he's a forward. I think he's a small forward.
Oh, okay. You were thinking about other guards.
It's not going to be Goran. Is it?
I don't know. Milwaukee. I don't know what Milwaukee's doing, but they were tweeting incessantly about that man for a week straight. Like,
And then they get him, and then they don't play him.
No, it's like Goran Dragic highlights. I'm like, he had highlights?
Yeah.
Where?
Lindell. I like Lindell, but
I
not
do
for
too.
backup point guard Lindell.
No.
Obviously not Javon because he's gone. Yeah, it's really Jackson. It's obviously not Grayson, not AJ Green. Have to be almost Lindell in a way, or Dragic.
That would kind of scare me heading into the season.
Uh-huh.
I don't know if it's Dragic, then I don't know. Can you hate it? I mean, he didn't.
That wouldn't be the worst thing, but I feel like they could get someone better.
Yeah. Well, how many options do we have left? Because like a lot of people were saying, "Oh my God, Derrick Rose," but
no, like he's
Derrick Rose didn't play for the Knicks last year, and he signed a 2-year deal with the Grizzlies.
Yep.
He wasn't gonna play in Milwaukee. It wasn't gonna happen.
No, and they'll probably get someone, or they'll put someone who we know shouldn't be there but has to be there because they didn't go get someone. But yeah, it'll be interesting in the next few weeks just to see what potential moves they make. I feel like there's still going to be something that happens, not free agency, but I think they're going to be in a trade or two. That's my guess.
Who knows? Maybe they don't sign anybody and they'd see who they could find in camp.
That's true.
That could happen too. There could be a diamond in the rough at camp who really shows out, and it's like, ooh, that guy could be our backup point guard.
Yep.
I mean, who knows? Who knows what could happen? There's a lot can happen. That can happen between now and then. So, whoever our next backup point guard is, he's probably going to be cheap. So, Evan, you got anything else?
No. Again, we're glad that the two are back. So we'll see what happens in the next couple weeks, I would assume. Maybe even a couple days.
The next couple days, we'll see what happens. Obviously, Milwaukee still has a couple moves to make to fill out that roster. So, all right, guys, thank you for tuning in to this special edition of the Milwaukee Bucks and Tap podcast. And I guess we'll see you when we see you.